times do you stop and go, wait, I'm not even living. I'm waiting to live. I'm working and striving so that I can then live the life I want to live. That's madness. All we have is now. So living, not just surviving in the now.
This is the Born to be Brilliant podcast, helping you harness the habits and unlock the tools to bring you more meaning, vibrance, and the personal power to help you shine like the diamond you are.
Welcome everyone to this episode. Let's delve straight on in and consider this really deep question really, which is at what point will you be completely satisfied with every aspect of your entrepreneurial success, life, health, and fulfillment? When? What does it take? We are, as listeners to this podcast, a particularly ambitious and driven set of individuals, right? We are no strangers to setting the bar quite high for ourselves and shooting for some big goals and big dreams. If that's you, you're definitely in the right room. And that's amazing. And I don't want anyone to stop that. I don't want anyone to ever think that they have to downsize their dreams to fit a society, a narrative, set of skills, or anything. So we are big dreamers. We are ambitious. We are motivated. We are driven. But with that, the paradox of that is that we'll often keep on pushing that bar up and up and up. So it's a moving target, which makes it feel like nothing's ever good enough. Because on your way towards that target, every little milestone along the way, rather than stopping and celebrating the wins and feeling good on the journey and feeling accomplished along the way, you're constantly moving that bar higher and higher and more, for want of a better word, out of reach, so that you remain in that strive because that's part of what you love, right? And so when we keep doing that, we keep pushing it higher, not only do we then miss out on that sense of satisfaction and achievement along the way, we're also almost like pushing it so far that we don't ever get there, and so there is no destination. Does that make sense? There is no destination because we're always pushing it higher. So when does that stop? And I think that the real humbling truth here is it doesn't. And only when you admit that it doesn't do you then know what you can do about it. Because otherwise you're destined to constantly live life in stretch, in strive. And that's fun for a while, but it isn't sustainable. And you know it, which is why you'll experience things like high stress, burnout even, your health can suffer. Perhaps your relentless ambition has cost you in terms of relationships. You've perhaps felt like you've not been present. You actually end up almost missing out on living the life that you're striving to create. And that's just crazy. So when we stop and think about it, okay, we create these businesses that we usually, and most of my listeners I know, are purpose-led, mission-led. So you've got some kind of real impact you want to make in the world. Yes, you want to make the money, absolutely. But usually there's a deeper layer of mission, of calling, of I need to do this. I need to go and make this difference in the world. And this is my thing, which is amazing. And I'm not saying not to have that. But if you haven't, I don't feel like you should have a limit, by the way, but if you don't know what enough looks like, you are working towards a moving target. Now, the thing is it can feel like enough at every stage. So this isn't an end zone game. So I'm not saying stop pushing it so far out into the stratosphere that you never feel like you get there. I'm not saying pull it so far into the now that you go, oh, brilliant, I'm already there now then. So let's just call it a day because I'm done. I've achieved all my dreams anyway. So why bother having any? It doesn't have to be that black or white. It's not either or. It's actually about honing that sense of total accomplishment and satisfaction, of life fulfillment and joy in the now, because the now is all we have, but also in the now and the now and the next now and all the way along. So yes, we keep on setting the next bar on the goals and we keep on pushing for what we want, but we're also completely and utterly satisfied with what is. So if you've ever been to one of my talks or seen me on stage or in one of my masterclasses, you'll see me talk about this is and want model. And your sense of frustration or dissatisfaction or even just sort of like self-downness on not being where you want to be or not feeling how you want to feel, that dissatisfaction is because what is your reality, your current reality and now, and what you believe it ought to look like, or you really desperately want it to look like, what is and what you want are quite far apart, or the further apart they are, the bigger that line of dissatisfaction or frustration. And from that place, it's really hard to feel all the things that make life feel amazing. So, feelings of deep joy, feeling accomplished and like you achieve something, feelings of love and connection, be that love for your nearest and dearest, also your friends or your wider community, but most importantly for yourself. So feelings of love are relationships are crucial, and your health, like your well-being, your time, so you feel like you actually are living. I mean, how many times do you stop and go, wait, I'm not even living, I'm waiting to live. I'm working and striving so that I can then live the life I want to live. That's madness. All we have is now. So living, not just surviving in the now. And then there is money. And this doesn't even have to be a conversation where it's all or nothing. You have people out there that talk all about the money. And you have people out there who go, it's not the money. No, not the money. It's everything else but that. It's like, no, it's both. It's all of it. Like, can we just accept that? Can we just be okay with that? It's okay for it to be both. You can have a holistically satisfying and fulfilling existence on this planet, make an impact, have meaning, live fully, love intentionally, and have a load of money, and that's okay, because money is actually fuel for all of those things. Money will make those things far more accessible, let's be completely honest, but it will also enable you to push whatever you want to create in this world even further, impact more lives, make a bigger difference, infiltrate more places, get your voice, your message, your mission seen and heard. It takes money to do that. And initially that takes your money. You need to make the money in order to be able to do that. And then that perpetuates and generates more. It's not like there's a certain amount in this world and you're like, I better not take too much because everyone else deserves some too. Yeah, they do. And what if the work you do is actually going to enable them to access more of it? I firmly believe the work I do does help people to access and open themselves up and be able to receive and bring in and make more money, but not in a direct sense. Yeah, I could just go, okay, let's do this and tick these business strategy boxes and off we go. I've done that for many years. I've been in business for 27 years, but that's not enough. Like that's not my thing. Lots and lots of people can do that, and you can also figure it out for yourself as well. But there's layers underneath that. The human operating system is everything, and that's where I work, human optimization. So if we can work on this and figure out how can we turn the is, our current reality, and our want, what we actually want, and align them so that right now they are overlapping or connecting, then we get rid of that dissatisfaction. We feel better, we feel more fulfilled, but we can maintain that and then go even further. So the want aligning with our is doesn't have to then be parked. That's not it, done, finished. It's like, great, now let's keep it feeling like that as we then take it to the next level and the next level and the next level without getting too much stretch and separation. Let me also say it will separate a little bit. It's supposed to. We're not looking at trying to align our is with our want and permanently have them like matched, because that would create complacency. it would create a stagnant, that sense of like, well, what's the point? I'm kind of done. If everything's perfect, why would I do anything else? You're not going to do that anyway because you're not wired that way. No entrepreneur is. But you'll experience that little bit of stretch, and that's where okay, let's just stretch this. Oh, there's some dissatisfaction or there's some frustration, and instead of getting annoyed with it, we celebrate it. We go, amazing, because I've obviously pushed my want out just enough to feel that dissatisfaction. So now I need to pull my is and my want closer together again so that I can then move forward to the next level and the next level. So you really can enjoy the journey. And I know everyone says that, but it feels like just words like, oh yeah, I want to have this and that, and I want to enjoy the journey. Journey's gonna have some bumps in the road. There's gonna be some messy bits, some crappy bits. There's gonna be some bits that you really don't like. That's normal. We're not supposed to love every bit of it. If we did, it would be easy. And if it was easy, everybody would have it. The greatest reward is on the other side of challenge, right? And it's only you can access more awesomeness if you can overcome more sticky bits. And you absolutely can. But it's the ability to take stock and look at what actually is and enjoy that, even the hard bits, even when I can just literally think of things like, you're going to think, oh, but how could I possibly enjoy that thing? And it's like, okay, maybe let's not enjoy it, but find the gratitude for that pain. Okay, that was painful, but I'm grateful for it because it taught me that. It gave me that skill. It made me up my game. It instilled more resilience in me. And when we can do it in the moment, not even looking back, we can go, okay, this is really tough right now, and one of my favorite things is I'll often go, oh, okay, this is really tough right now, but this is part of my story. This is part of the journey. And in another level and in another time, I'm going to reflect on, I'm going to be sharing this, and this is going to then help somebody else. And that helps me then accept and surrender to the flow of the journey. And my God, is that a more peaceful place to live? It's so much more fulfilling, because instead of them fighting against it or feeling bashed by it or depleted by it, you actually feel empowered by it, even when it isn't all rosy. So this is exactly the work I do with clients, and it's fascinating to unpick, because we all know what it feels like to feel frustrated, to feel run down or burned out when we've built a business that, there's a part of us that loves it with all our heart, and there's a part of us that just wishes it would be swallowed up by the ground and leave us alone because it's taken our lives over. People talk about burning their businesses down because of this. They're like, I just want to make it go away. It's too hard. Life would be easier if, and it's like, yeah. But that isn't the case. It's just that you worked and you used the skills you had as the human you were on, operating system 6.2, but now you need operating system 8 in order to hold what you've created. So it's not even about what's next, it's about holding what you've created. How many times have you seen people do really well and then they've either quit or walked away, or they pivot? And the pivoting, my word, pivoting is like crazy stuff. It's like the market changed, so I better change. Like, I'm all for bending and adapting and shape-shifting accordingly and evolving. But when people just jump ship because it gets tough, like, what if that wasn't the right move? And so when we get to that place and sometimes feel like we want to do this, the self-sabotage creeps in. And it can be that things are wildly successful and they're absolutely amazing and there's nothing wrong with it, but you'll somehow do something to break it, to mess it up, or to make it hard again. And that's usually because somewhere in the depths of your nervous system, there's a belief there that says, in order for me to have this, it should be harder. So you're going to make it harder. There's some level of not worthiness. I'm not worthy of having such success that appears to be so easy. And you forget that actually it wasn't easy. It may be easy today, but it wasn't easy getting there. But suddenly it is. So you feel bad for that. You feel guilty. It's like, oh no, let's make it hard for myself again. And I've done this to myself and I've witnessed this happen where it's like, oh, I know, if I just do this, and it's like subconsciously, look, why on earth would I do that? Why did I think that or do that? And it's because on some level you were like, I know, I'll just give myself a new challenge, because actually you probably got where you got because firefighting, resilience, pushing on in the face of adversity, all the hard things that you had to do to get where you have got have become you. And suddenly you hit a layer where you don't need to do those things anymore. You've got that toolkit, that skill set now, and you do need them in the next chapter. But to get through that sort of invisible ceiling chapter layer, you're going to have to shed some of those identity things and belief things that got you there. And they needed to get you there. You needed them. Those things were sent to strengthen you, to get you there. That's amazing. But because they become so familiar and ingrained in you, the version of you that needs to then go into that next layer has become so accustomed to that moving forward without them almost feels scary and it feels different. And if you are like, oh, but maybe it feels really hard, maybe it feels really easy. But if you feel guilt around it being easy, if you feel like you can't hold that much money, you'll find ways to get rid of it. Whether you're spending it, giving it away, reinvesting it, you'll dress it up as whatever you want. You'll find a valid reason in your psyche. You will intellectualize it, that it was all exactly as what you were supposed to do. But actually, you've kept yourself at the set point financially that you've become comfortable with and nothing higher. I look back now and think about some of the business costs I had in earlier years where I was like, well, no, but I need that and the business requires that and it has to have that. And I look back now and think, I'd never spend that now. Like, it wouldn't matter how much I make, I wouldn't spend that. But at that point, I think I had to justify it because I had to keep the amount of money available, like a cap point that I couldn't be comfortable. It's funny, lots of people have these set points of like, oh, I don't want the bank account to go below a certain amount. But I bet you also would be uncomfortable with it going above a certain amount as well. And that sounds so backwards, and yet so many of us do it. So we find ways to just move on and reallocate that money to keep us in the person we know and how we operate. But that's going to keep us stuck. So these are things that are really, really hard to spot. We barely can see these things for ourselves. It takes not only a lot of self-work, but also a lot of self-awareness. And even the most self-aware person often can't see these depths and these layers. When we unpick them, though, and when we look at how we have been operating, it's literally like going to Bupa for like a body MOT. It's like the full works of how am I operating, what's serving me, where do I want to go, where's the dissatisfaction, and then being able to go, oh, okay. And the reason that I'm, almost plateaued here, or I'm here, but I don't love it, or I'm feeling a sense of this, or even just being run down in the process and like, oh, is it worth it? Like, is it all worth it? I've created this, but it's actually consuming me and I'm not thriving. I don't have the spaciousness in my life. I'm not having the time with the relationships that I want to, nurture and people I want to spend time with. Like, if I'm like, I'm too busy to go and have lunch with my mum, what have I created? I'm my own boss. Like, she isn't going to be here forever. That's got to be more important. And so if your business is consuming you in some way or creating any dissatisfaction, there's something at play here. And the good news is it's probably that you are on the brink of another upshift, but you need your human operating system to be calibrated in order to carry what you've got and what you want next. Otherwise, you will default back and your system will keep running the same programs, which means you're going to get more of what you have. And sadly, in business, that doesn't usually mean staying still and plateau for very long, because it will unravel and go backwards and it will spin down. It won't just stay. You've got to, you've got to be pushing forward to stay still. You've got to be pushing forward a lot to go up. But if you do nothing, you will drip backwards. It's like being on a treadmill. So there's a lot to be said for this. And this taps into every area of our mind, body, and soul. So it's not just what we think. Yes, our mindset is absolutely key. They say 80% mindset, 20% strategy. I would agree, but I would also say that neither of them matter or have any relevance if we're not actually addressing our inner, our nervous system, our behaviors, beliefs, functions, things that happen on a subconscious level that aren't even our conscious or intellectual thought. So there's more at play, but how we show up, how we do anything is how we do everything. How we show up, how we speak to ourselves, and how, what happens inside our system and then externally and how we behave is going to create our reality. And we need to go back in every so often, tweak some things so we can then expand into the next and the next and the next layer of how we want to experience this life. At the end of the day, we aren't ultimately here for a long time. And I think we want to make every bit of it count. So why waste our time feeling stuck or feeling like we're spinning our wheels or feeling like life's passing us by or feeling like we're just not making the most of it? We have so much potential in us, so much that we can bring and give, but also have and receive and enjoy. And it starts and ends with you. So if that's you and you want to do more of that work, reach out to me. And I would just love to know what you've loved about this episode. People often send me private messages on socials and they're like, just listen to this episode. Oh, I really love this episode. Or that really helped me. But you can comment on this right here on the platform you're on. Well, please do send me that message and tell me what you'd love more of on the podcast, because I would love to make an episode inspired by you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember, go out there and shine your light bright because you were born to be brilliant.